What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review, and thank you for joining me this evening as I am prepared to give you my list of the top 10 worst movies of 2019. Now, full disclosure, I haven't seen every movie in 2019. I saw a little over 100 movies, 100 new releases in 2019. So clearly, when I put out my best list, which is already up, and when I'm putting out my worst list, which I'm doing right now, it doesn't include every movie because I haven't seen every movie. This is the movies that I have seen personally. So that little disclaimer there. But make sure you subscribe to my channel. Before we get into this, I just wanted to say that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure you're up to date with what it is that I'm doing. But let's get into my top 10 worst movies of 2019 list. And we'll start with number 10, Zombie Tidal Wave. Zombie Tidal Wave, I was excited about. It was just going to be the next wave in the Ziering-assance. The return to relevance for Ian Ziering. You know, he's had the Beverly Hills 90210 reboot. He's had his great turn in Swamp Thing as the Blue Devil. He's had his Sharknado movies, so I thought, hey, this Zombie Tidal Wave, this is going to be the next step in Ian Ziering becoming big again. And it wasn't. It was a stumbling block. It was a big stumbling block. And which is too bad because I did a trailer reaction for this movie on this channel, and there seemed to be a lot of interest in the movie. But it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It took the zombie tropes, it took the zombie rules and played with them and tried to do something different, but at the end of the day, it just didn't work. So Zombie Tidal Wave is my number 10 worst movie of the year. Number 9, the Netflix original movie Polar. Or the the poor man's John Wick, the ghetto Christmas John Wick. Polar wasn't a very good movie, and I've known some people who actually did like it, but it just didn't work for me. It was boring, and it was trying to be John Wick, and that's just the only thing I got out of it was, you're not John Wick, Mads Mikkelsen. So I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Polar, and it's my number 9 on the worst movies of the year. Number 8 is one that I watched recently. The Hulu original movie, Ghosting, The Spirit of Christmas. It's like, let's make a Christmas movie, and let's just forget all the things that make Christmas movies fun, and let's make a Christmas movie that's not fun. Let's make a Christmas movie that's depressing. Let's make a Christmas movie that plays with the rules of death. Let's make a Christmas movie with some kinky sexual tension between a dude and a dead girl. It didn't work for me. I didn't think it was a good movie at all. So it's my number 8 worst movie of the year. My number 7 worst movie of the year is sure to get a lot of people infuriated and fired up because this is going to be on some people's best movies of the list here. It is. Some people will have this in their top 10 best movies of the year. It is number 7 on my worst, and that is Jordan Peele's movie, Us. And I have a strange relationship with this movie. When I saw this movie in the theater, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. And I think that was just me it was me wanting to enjoy it because I loved Get Out, and the Twilight Zone. I realized that Twilight Zone came after this, but Twilight Zone was great. I love Key and Peele. I love Jordan Peele, and I wanted to like this, and I sat there in the theater and I convinced myself that it was good. And then when I was driving home, it dawned on me how stupid it was. How stupid. Like this movie holds up to no scrutiny whatsoever. None. Like, it is entirely impossible that any of this stuff would be possible in any universe in existence in the multiverse. It just holds up to no scrutiny. It has plot hole after plot hole after. You want to talk about plot holes in The Rise of Skywalker? Let me introduce you to Us. It was not a good movie. It was not a good movie, and it was a weird experience because I enjoyed it while I was watching it. But like I said, I think I was just convincing myself that it was good, and then it just didn't hold up to any scrutiny whatsoever. So number 7 for me is Us. The number 6 worst movie of the year is Christmas Breakin. So this is a movie about a girl that gets left in her school at the holidays, and some bumbling criminals come in, and she ends up having to thwart these criminals. Where have I seen a plot like that before? Yes, this was Home Alone set in a school. Only it was not as good as any of the Home Alone movies. Not even the horrible Holiday Heist, not even the horrible Taking Back the House. This was worse than all of them, which is a feat. It is a feat because Taking Back the House was god-awful. Christmas Breakin' was worse. So Christmas Breakin' is my number 6 worst movie of the year. My number 5 worst movie of the year is the reboot of Charlie's Angels. This was a very difficult movie to get through. And I think that a lot of that has to do with expectation, right? That was all about expectation because I expected this to be Charlie's Angels, and it wasn't. It's like the filmmakers have no idea what Charlie's Angels is. Charlie's Angels is tongue-in-cheek. Charlie's Angels is silly. Charlie's Angels is fun. Charlie's Angels is action-packed. This one had some action, but it didn't have any of the rest of the stuff. None of it. So they tried to reboot a franchise and just discard 80% of what makes that franchise that franchise. And it just didn't work, and it was boring, and it was stupid, and I don't like Kristen Stewart in the first place, so I was already in a disposition to not like it. But, yeah, having watched the 2 Charlie's Angels Cameron Diaz movies, and being a fan of those, I did like those, even Full Throttle, I liked both of them. Having seen the original series, those things had something that this one didn't have, and that was whimsy. That was fun. That was silliness. 3 attractive girls who are kicking butt, and the whole concept is silly, and they embrace it. They give it a big hug and say, we know what we are, let's be that. Well, this Charlie's Angels tried to be none of that, and it didn't work. So this is a real case of the filmmakers not understanding the franchise, and it suffered, and that's my number 5. My number 4 worst movie of the year is the remake of Black Christmas. Ugh. Such a bad movie. Such a bad movie. You know, I always say that I'm perfectly fine with social or political messages in my films. 100% okay with it. I don't care if it's a conservative political message. I don't care if it's a liberal political message. I don't care if it's middle of the road. Don't care. I don't care. Because I think that those messages spark conversation. And conversation is what we need in our society. We don't need people standing on one side of the line and the other side of the line and yelling at each other. We need conversation, and movies can help do that. But I always say that those messages are fine as long as it doesn't come before the story. The story has to come first. And there was no story here. This was political social messages. To be fair, there's a couple political social messages in this movie. And they tried to build story around the messages. The messages came first, and then the story was entirely secondary to it. And it showed. It showed because there was no story there. There's no tension. This is a horror movie. There's no tension. There's no scares. To be fair, the first scare in the movie, the first kill in the movie was okay. It was okay. But it was all, I mean, it wasn't just downhill from there. It was a steep drop off from there. Because it just, let's put together our message and then plug in plot where we can. We'll plug in plot. And it just didn't work. This movie had nothing that makes a good horror movie. And it was really bad. So, number 4 is Black Christmas. Number 3 is the Netflix original movie Unicorn Store. And say what you will about Brie Larson, I liked her as Captain Marvel. I don't necessarily like a lot of what she stands for outside of Captain Marvel. I think that, and I don't even have a problem with her politics. I do not have a problem with her politics, but it's her candor, it's her approach, it's her tact. She's not very tactful in the way that she approaches her politics, and that's going to turn a lot of people off, and it turns me off. But I liked her as Captain Marvel, and I've liked her in other, like 21 Jump Street. I liked her in 21 Jump Street, so she's definitely an actress that I have enjoyed in things before. So she is not the reason that I did not like Unicorn Store. The reason I did not like Unicorn Store was that it was stupid. Nothing else to say about that. It was stupid. That's my number 3. My number 2 worst movie of the year. It's going to make a lot of people mad again, but I hate it. I despise this movie. I hated it so much, and that's Midsummer. Like, maybe it's just the director that I don't like, because Hereditary was one of my worst movies of the year it came out. I hated Hereditary, and I hated Midsummer. And to be fair, it might be making me feel the things that the filmmaker wants me to feel. It makes me feel angry, makes me feel sad, makes me feel disgusted, right? I felt those things. And that's probably what the filmmaker was going for. But I didn't like it. I didn't like feeling those things in the context and what it was being presented. And it just felt, I don't know, it felt icky and dirty to me. And I've got no problem with horror movies that have shock endings. I love horror movies with shock endings. But this wasn't really even a horror movie. This was more of a depressing tale of stupid people. Stupid people who get involved in a cult outside of America. And it was just bad. I didn't like it at all. Midsummer is my number 2 worst movie of the year. Feel free to send me the hate in the comments section if you want. I can take it. I didn't like it. Midsummer was bad. That's my number 2. My number 1 worst movie of the year, which is ironic because out of all the videos that I made this year, this one, the review of this one has gotten a great deal of traffic. So I don't know if people are just interested in this movie or if they're interested in it because of how bad it is. But out of all my movie reviews, this is one of the top trafficked videos that I've made this year in terms of views and in terms of time watched. And that is Benchwarmers 2 Breaking Balls. The title says enough. It was incredibly stupid, immature, lowest common denominator as far as comedy is concerned. It was the worst kind of comedy because it panders to what it thinks people want as opposed to what people truly want. I mean, people want their comedies to be funny and witty and imaginative and creative. And this was just gutter comedy, and it didn't work at all. And yeah, I might have chuckled a couple times during the movie, but then I felt really bad about it. Like, oh, I'm a horrible person. That's the type of movie it was. So Benchwarmers 2 Breaking Balls was the worst movie of the year for me. So let's recap. Number 10, Zombie Tidal Wave. Number 9, Polar. Number 8, Ghosting, The Spirit of Christmas. Number 7, Us. Number 6, Christmas Breakin. Number 5, Charlie's Angels. Number 4, Black Christmas. Number 3, Unicorn Store. Number 2, Midsummer. And number 1, again, Benchwarmers 2. But that's just one guy's opinion. What is your opinion? What do you think was the worst movie of the year? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. Maybe you think that the worst movie of the year wasn't even on my list. Maybe you think that some of the movies on my list were among some of the best movies of the year. And that's okay. It's all subjective. If you think that, let me know in the comments down below and tell me why you think I'm wrong. It's all good. It's all conversation, and everybody's going to look at movies and take them a different way. So let me know if you agree or if you disagree with any of my picks. I'd love to hear. So thank you for being here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all of the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you later.